I get it. You're a grinder, you're a grafter, you're a hard worker, you want to smash it, you want to achieve, you want to do incredible things in this short space of time that you are here on this floating rock called planet Earth. I get it, I do. I'm cut from the same cloth. We are kindred souls. But I'm going to share with you 3 things that we can do to make sure that we maintain a work-life balance, because I've said it before and I will say it again, victory in the absence of satisfaction is defeat. What we don't want is a Pyrrhic victory. A Pyrrhic victory, that term comes from Pyrrhus of Epirus, who had a victory against the Roman army in 279 BC, but that victory meant that so much of Pyrrhus's army was obliterated and devastated that it had to ultimately withdraw. So what I mean is, it wasn't really a victory. We don't want a victory where our entire army dies. That's not a victory. And in life, when we're grafting and we're grinding and we're smashing it and getting achievements, but we kill ourselves in the process, that's not victory. That's defeat. So it is important. I just want to convey that point. Hopefully I am. It is critically important to make sure that we have this work-life balance. And full disclosure, I'm saying this as a student who is working on this actively, very, very much so myself. And here's some of the things that I've found extremely useful in that process. Number 1 is planning. And what I mean is, we get into this habit of planning all of the stuff that we need to do to be effective. I'm planning my key objectives for the day. I'm planning my key objectives for the week. Where do I want to be in 12 months from now? What do I need to do to achieve it? I'm reverse engineering the process. What's the smallest step that I can take right now towards my goal? But we forget one really important thing. Planning to have some time off. Planning to chill out. Planning to have fun. So depending on which tool you use, I use task management software. I use a task management software called ClickUp. I also use good old Google Calendar, which is extremely useful for me. It links up with many different things. Now, in order to protect my time, and I don't say that lightly, but in order to protect my time, what I do is, in my calendar, I block days that I'm going to have off so that nobody can book things into those days, and I respect that time. It's important that we're not just planning our days effectively for our work and our business and our training and all this other good stuff, but we're planning our days for ourselves, because that's the real ends here that we're aiming towards. So make sure that you're putting in time to relax, to chill out. If you're awake for 16 hours in the day, don't start your diary, your things that you're doing from the first hour that you wake up and finish it at the last hour you go to bed. It's not victory, it's defeat. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be periods in life, you know, if you are striving to be entrepreneurial, to get something off the ground, there might be periods in life where you're going to have to lean in and you are going to have to max out some of those days. But no human being alive, and I've met a lot of incredibly successful entrepreneurs in my time, no human being alive, no one that I've come across has been able to sustain that high level of work output for a long time. In fact, if you then hit a point where you're crashing and burning, it's going to take you a hell of a lot longer to recover. Your productivity is going to go through the floor, and ultimately it's going to be devastating to your campaign, to your drive, to your effort to get ahead. So please, 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 can't iterate this enough. Make sure you're protecting your time. Make sure you diarize time off and you plan that. In whatever schedule you're using, and do use a schedule, make sure you're protecting your time. Number 2, make sure that you're delegating. There's different things we can do in task management. We can do things. We can get rid of them if they don't really need to be done. We can defer things if they don't need to be done right now. But the thing that we can do that a lot of people forget is we can delegate them. So many people struggle with this. I used to struggle with this a lot. Any task that you're doing repeatedly, that can be delegated. So there's a clue there. But also tasks that somebody else can do. And I know nobody can do it like you. I know, yeah, sure. But they can. And you can capture and create a process for that person to follow to show them how you do it like you. Now, the bit that people struggle with is number one, that belief or misconception that no one can do it like you. I promise you they can. And even if they did it 80% as good as you sometimes, but it gave you all of your time back, it's worth it. Now, whether you decide to use a member of staff that's in-house, or whether you decide to use a virtual assistant, perhaps one that's overseas, so that you can free your time up on some of these tasks, that's absolutely fine. You can decide, but the most important thing to do here is delegate. And we need to learn to hand tasks off. So people believe that other people can't do it. They can. If they're struggling to do it, it's because you haven't given them a good enough process. That's on you. The second thing that people struggle with is the patience of handing a task over. So they look at a task and they go, oh, do you know what? This is going to take me 5 minutes to do it. It's going to take me 30 minutes to explain it to this other person. I'll just quickly do it. But the more you do that, and the more you put off training the other person up, what happens is a few months later you go, oh, this person can't do anything, I'm just going to let them go. Because you didn't spend the time, that's right, you didn't spend the time training them to do what they should be doing. You didn't take the time. Invest. I'm going to use the word intentionally invest, because investing is putting something in up front for a return later on. Now, we're putting in the training up front with this member of staff so that we can get a return on our time later on. So please look at your easy thing to do, capture your tasks for the week, which you should be doing anyway. Have a look at them and be brutally honest. Could somebody else do this? Number 3 thing that we can do to make sure that we're getting work-life balance is make sure that we're doing work that we freaking enjoy. Don't spend the best part of your entire life doing stuff that you don't in some way, shape or form enjoy or find interesting. The sad fact is 2/3 of people in the UK don't like the job that they do. But if you flip that on its head, that means 1/3 of people actually do. And then it becomes less relevant, the pay. It becomes less relevant what they're doing out of work, because they're enjoying what they're freaking doing in work. So if you are getting Monday morning dread, if you're hating the idea of coming back into work, then maybe you're in the wrong place. So make sure you're pursuing something that you enjoy. Same, I mean, especially with business. This is for work and in business. If you're setting up a business right now and you fast forward the tape, and so for some of you that are a bit younger, maybe if you said you fast forward the MP4, but if you fast forward the videotape to the end and you look at, right, well, 5 years, 10 years from now, my business is set up, it's successful. Do I enjoy what I do on a day-to-day basis? Because if the answer is no, don't set that business up. Let me stop you right there. We need to make sure we're pursuing things that we're actually going to enjoy spending our time on, because that is a big component of success. It's not just about how much money something makes. If you are selling your soul, selling your time to make it. So if you're doing something that you really don't enjoy, let's step back and make a decision on what we could be doing. What is it that you do enjoy? And how could you pursue a career or a business that is like that? So don't get me wrong, yes, having fun outside of work, yes, finding the work-life balance is about what you do outside of work, but it's just as much about doing stuff that you enjoy. What do? I do coaching because I freaking love it. I do training, I deliver training because I love it. I do this because I love it. I find it interesting, I find it exciting, I find it valuable to this planet. I do property investing because I love it. I find it interesting, fascinating. I'm always learning, stretching, growing. So that's how I've chose my life to be. I've got other friends who don't like or find property interesting or wouldn't like the idea of delivering training. Fine, find something else. Point being, if you can crack it so that you enjoy the days, Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, or whenever you're working, that's the biggest part of your life. It's the biggest chunk of your waking time. So make sure you do shit you enjoy. Make sure you do stuff that lights you up, that you're passionate about, and then you've cracked it.